Hey y'all, it's Jessica from Sloppy Swatches. Today I have the Total Recall collection releasing from Femme Fatale Cosmetics from their website on November 23rd and from the US Stalkers on November 22nd. I will link them down below. This collection was sent to me for review, and as always, I will have more photos available on my blog at sloppyswatches.wordpress.com. So first up is 2084, and this is described as a stunning soft gray with a hint of mauve and red overlay. So this has a very strong shimmer running throughout it. The base coat is almost a kind of nude purplish gray tone. Really pretty. I'll go ahead and show you a brush shot. And I'll show you how 2084 swatched on my natural nail. This is a thicker formula, especially when thinking about how Femme Fatale's formula are usually a little bit more sheer and take a bit to build up. I did do a nice thick first coat here, and it leveled out really well. I had great coverage, but I am going to come back in for a second coat just to help with a little bit of that opacity. So here is a quick second coat. Again, I am going to do a nice thick second coat, and this is going to bring this completely opaque for me. The shimmer does translate well to the nail, and I didn't notice that it was very brush strokey at all. When I was applying, it got a little bit strokey, but it did level out great all on its own. So here is a look at the completed mani before top coat. I think this is going to be one that looks like a stunner with a matte top coat as well. Here's a view from a different angle with top coat in direct sunlight. This is my swatch photo under artificial lighting, and once more at an angle in direct sunlight. So next up is Ready for Dreamland, and this is described as a pale, cool tone lavender with a hint of gray, fine silver flecks, and pink sparks. So this does have a little bit of that shimmer running throughout it too. It's in the larger flake form. The base is a very ethereal, grayed out purple. I'll go ahead and show you a brush shot, and I'll show you how Ready for Dreamland swatched on my natural nail. So here is one easy coat. This one does go on perfectly. I didn't have any pooling, but it does start out a little bit sheer. I did get nice even coverage, so I'll let this dry and then come back in for a second coat. Okay, for my second coat, I am going to do a nice thick second coat, and this brings this one completely opaque for me. I feel like if you did a thinner coat, you may need 3 coats, but that shimmer builds up really well, really quickly on the nail. Ready for Dreamland does dry down fairly glossy, so here's a look at the completed mani before top coat. Here's a view from another angle in direct sunlight with top coat. This is my swatch photo under artificial lighting, and once more at an angle in direct sunlight. Next up is The Last Resort, and this is described as a berry satin with a slight duochrome finish, flecks of hollow and micro glitters. So this has a lot of linear holographic effect running through it. It is a purple to darker purple, maybe duochrome. It does have a little flash of gold in there. I'll go ahead and show you a brush shot, and I'll show you how The Last Resort swatched on my natural nail. So here is one easy coat. This does have a little bit of a thicker formula, but it just glides on the nail perfectly. I did have a nice coverage at one coat, but it's not completely opaque, so I am going to let this dry and then come back in for a quick second coat. So here is a quick second coat. I'm just going to do a nice normal coat. It doesn't have to be thick here to make it completely opaque. This one just goes on really easily, and the finished results are gorgeous. You don't get a ton of that duochrome, but you do see a little bit around the edges there. So here is a look at the completed mani before top coat. So this one does dry down fairly glossy. Here's a view from another angle in direct sunlight with top coat. Super gorgeous. This is my swatch photo under artificial lighting, and once more at an angle in direct sunlight. So next up is Venusville, and this is described as a clear to pink thermal with a warm to cold effect with blue shimmers and silver hollow micro glitters. So this is a really cool combination. It is a thermal polish, so it's going to react to your natural body temperature as well as whatever you put it up against. So I'll show you a brush shot, and I'll show you how Venusville swatched on my natural nail. So here is one easy coat of Venusville. It does start out quite a bit sheer. It does go on nice and evenly though, and you can see it start to kind of warm up there towards my cuticle and get a little bit darker pink towards my tips. So I'll let this dry and then come back in for a second coat. So here is my second coat. You can see there that this polish does have a really strong blue shimmer that really helps it be opaque quicker in my opinion, especially when it's in the warm state. So here you can see it going the darker cold state pink towards my tips and clear white towards my cuticle. It wasn't completely opaque for me at 2 coats, especially when it goes to the clear form. So I did go ahead and do a nice thick third coat, and I really do like how this builds up. I think 3 coats is plenty. It does make it nice and opaque, especially when it's in the cold state. So here is a look at the completed mani before top coat, and this is just at the natural state for my nail. It may be different on your nail. If you have shorter free edges, it'll obviously change how it looks. I'll go ahead and show you how it does in ice water. So this is going to bring it completely pink. And then to the right here, I have a cup of warm water. So that is the clear state. I think it's beautiful in both states. I'll go ahead and show you what a completed mani looks like. So my water what is exactly cold enough there to get it to turn. I do live in Texas, so it's been pretty hot. It just now cooled off. So up against the ice, it does turn the nice cold state, and then I'll show you the full warm state. So really pretty. I do actually prefer this one in the warm state. I think it's super gorgeous. So here's a look from an angle in direct sunlight with top coat, just in the natural state. This is my swatch photo under artificial lighting. And once more at an angle in direct sunlight. So next up is Welcome to Mars, and this is described as a shimmering warm duochrome base with golden glitters and chrome flakes. So this has a lot going on in it. This polish has an incredibly strong shift. It does go from that pinky red to a bright golden orange. Really gorgeous. I'll go ahead and show you a brush shot. And I'll show you how Welcome to Mars swatched on my natural nail. So here is one easy coat. This one does go on really easily. It does start out quite a bit sheer though. You get a nice amount of those flakes there. So I'll let this dry and then come back in for a second coat. So here is a quick second coat. I am going to do a nice thick second coat here. This one is going to dry down a little bit textured due to all those larger flakies, but 2 coats does bring this completely opaque for me. You can see there how incredibly strong the shift translates to the nail. Here's a look at the completed mani before top coat. Here's a view from another angle in direct sunlight with top coat. This is my swatch photo under artificial lighting. And once more at an angle in direct sunlight. So next up is Clever Girl, and this is described as a clear to magenta thermal in the warm to cold state with golden glitters and holographic glitters. This is probably my #1 top pick of this collection. It's another really cool thermal polish, so I'll go ahead and show you a brush shot. And I'll show you how Clever Girl swatched on my natural nail. So here is one easy coat of Clever Girl. It does go on in the cold state, but you'll see that it warms up to a clear towards my tips. One coat is pretty sheer, so I'll let this dry and come back in for a second coat. So here is a quick second coat here. This says to build it up definitely and adds a little bit more of that glitter and gold shimmer in there. But in the cold state, when it goes to the clear kind of golden color, it is a little bit sheer. So I am going to go ahead and go in for a third coat. So here is a quick third coat. You can see there what I mean towards the tips. It is a little bit more clear. 3 coats is going to bring it completely opaque for me, and it does add a ton of those glitters in. I think this one would look really cool layered over gold too when it shifts. So here is a look at the completed mani without top coat under artificial lighting. Just in the natural state there, you can see my tips are pretty cold. It's going to depend on your nail length and the warmth of your hands, definitely how it shifts. I'll show you how it does in cold water and warm water. I have cold water to the left here, and this brings it to that gorgeous golden red tone. And to the right here, I have warm water, and that brings it to the more clear gold tone. So I'll go ahead and dip my entire nails into each to show you what it looks like. So this is the Cold State Warm, and this is to the Warm State Clear. Really gorgeous both ways. This is my swatch photo under artificial lighting, and once more at an angle in direct sunlight. Lastly, today I have the Ego Trip, and this is described as a shimmering pink base filled with chrome flakes and golden holographic glitters. So this one does have a pretty strong shift on it as well. It really looks awesome over black. I do have that photo available. I'm not going to show you how it swatches today over at black, but trust me, it's amazing. So I'll go ahead and show you a brush shot, and I'll show you how the Ego Trip swatched on my natural nail. So here is one easy coat. This one is in more of a jelly base. It does have a lot of those flakes and shimmer going on in there. So one coat is pretty sheer. I'll let this dry and then come back in for a second coat. So here is the second coat. It does go on really easily. You don't really have to manipulate the flakes that much, and that shimmer does help it be opaque a little bit quicker. At 2 coats, it is still a little bit sheer for me though, so I'm going to let this dry and then come back in for a third coat. So here is my third coat. I am going to do a little bit thicker of a third coat just to bring it completely opaque. I did pull out some really large flakes there, which I love. So you can see there, this polish does have a really strong green to purple shift going on, as well as the multi-chrome flakies and that hollow. So here is a look at the completed mani before top coat. Here's the view from another angle in direct sunlight with top coat. This is my swatch photo under artificial lighting, and once more at an angle in direct sunlight. So that wraps up my swatch and review of the Total Recall collection. There will also be a limited edition Turbinium polish that's going to be available both on the Femme Fatale Cosmetics website as well as the Stockist website. I'll link those down below for sure if you'd like to see more photos. I do have those available on my blog at sloppyswatches.wordpress.com, or you can follow me on Instagram at sloppyswatches. So thanks so much for watching, guys. See you next time.